Morning traders, FuturestraderElite here. We're going to go over our NQ pre-market prep this morning, so let's pull us up a chart. This here is already set on the 1 hour, so we want to look at the bigger picture of the structure real quick. Some overall scenarios. We are kind of back up into an area we had been discussing for this area right here, where we got up to 25,500, I believe it was. We tagged that yesterday. Got this drop over here, right here in this area, and now you can see we come down, did some consolidating, come back up. Now we're testing that 1 hour trend line again, and we're getting tight into these crossovers of this 1 hour green line, this 1 hour red line. What we need to be looking at is, are we going to be able to break out of this and tackle this consolidation up here of this head and shoulders? You know, it looks like they're really trying hard to drive this up and maybe put in a new high before the end of the year. As you can see, our high is right here, and I'm not sure. Let's take a look at what that high is. It's around 26.4 it looks like, so about 1,000 points away, give or take, you say. And so, you know, that's not out of question. It's also not out of question for this to put in a new high and drop before the end of the month, because we can move 1,000 points in one day. So before we can really focus on that, though, we still got to get above all this here. I say if we get above this yellow line, if we can get above 25,850 or say 900, all this over here too, if we can get through this head and shoulders and this little consolidation breakdown here, we're probably putting in a new high for sure. After this decent drop here we had, big drop, and this drive back up, if we can get through here, I couldn't see why we would not put in a new high before the end of the month or here soon. But that's just one scenario that you could have on your mind. And then, you know, what if it broke down right here today when the market opens and we come back and put in a lower low right here, you know, take that out. You just never know, but you need to be prepared either way. The ATR is pretty low so far this morning. We got the R1 pivot here at 566, and then we got this green line up here at 675. These would all be first reaction short plays. The R1 pivot, the green line at 675, the R2 pivot is at 732, and then there's a red resistance line there at 742. So all this will be first reaction short, possibly roll over to the downside. As you can see, if you get up here towards the top of this head and shoulders, it's around 820, 830, and then right above that there's a yellow line at 850, which was a previous all-time high. That'd be a first reaction short. Anytime you're looking to the left and see this structure, you need to expect on a first reaction touch zone that there's going to be resistance there. So unless there's news or something that is going to force that trade, that candle straight through a zone, if there's nothing like that going on a news day, you should expect that first reaction into that zone, and that red zone, and that yellow line, and so on and so on. I mean, you get up here, we got this blue line up here. Say they get up there, that's at 910. You know that, and then there's a green line right above that at 940. So there's about a 30-point range right here. Could probably put a zone box in there, but we're not going to where that'd probably be heavy rejection right in here from this blue line to this green line. but we'll see as the market opens and see which way they want to take it. Let's look at a little bit to the downside here and see what we might be thinking for some bounces. If we come down, it's the golden pivot is at about 379, 380. You got a yellow line just above that. The golden pivot is below this yellow line, and if it gets over here later on in the morning, that pivot will actually be below this 1 hour line. So that'd be something to watch for. Is if they pull this back, they might sweep that 1 hour trend line to fake everybody out and then bounce off that pivot. Because say that pivot might be over here in the morning sometime below that trend line, and they just sweep, bounce, and back up. That'd be something to be watching for today for sure. That's one of them NQ playbook moves that they like to do. And then, if you could get below the golden pivot, if it gets below the golden pivot, we need to think a little bit on the bearish side. Right now, you're going to be thinking 300 to 325 is going to be your zone that's going to keep you safe. On the bullish side, if we get below 300, then 300 is this blue line inside this zone box. We get below that, we got a lot of yellow lines and a green line going down, so each one of those can act as a bounce area. And that yellow line there is at 275, and that one's at 255, and we got a blue line at 238, and 232 is a green line, and then of course the S1 pivot. I really like this right here. If we got a pullback to that, that's at 213. What are we at right now? 480, a couple hundred points. Yeah, if we could pull back, I would like a play between 215 and 230. If we could get a pullback in that area, that should be a pretty good bounce. If they're trying to keep driving this up, those would be the areas I'd be looking at to the downside. Excuse me. That's all I'm going to have, I think, for NQ this morning. We can look at it on the 15-minute real quick, see what it looks like. Yeah, they got a clearer picture. Can't see so much of the drawings. Let's say we broke through the trend line here, the 1 hour. We tagged that yesterday and come down, and they got it back up there, but this is let's see here how this looks. We're going to pull this up just so we can discuss break of the trend line and then retest entry and all that. So we broke the trend line right here. Trend line break and closed in this candle. Trend line break was around 483. It got up to 508. Let's take this down to the 1 minute so that we can be precise on this here. Alright, so I'm froze up a little bit. It's got to recalculate for the kill zone indicator. It's a lot of data for it to do. Pause this for a minute. Alright, so we come up here on this 1 minute chart, and this candle closes at the trend line. Then this candle opens up and it pretty much takes off. What you would really be wanting to do, if you're a newer trader, you want to play the retest. You don't really want to get comfortable taking the trade as soon as it closes above. Say this closed at the line, this closed above the line. You don't want to jump in here, because what if it turned here instead of going up and turning? It's the safer play is for the break, the retest, and then enter for your long. So here though, if you'd have put your orders, when you see this happen, you come back and put your orders close to this line or on this line so you can get filled. You're expecting the break, the retest, get filled, and go back up. So let's say you set your orders on this trend line at 485. Well, say that you set one there of NQ at 485. This got down to it swept it and got down to 478. So you're not quite $200 in the red. You got in at 485. It swept the line, and then it went back up to 496. So then you sell out for a couple $100 in the green. So that's kind of a one-to-one risk there. Had you taken that trade, really? But typically what you would want to do is set your orders here on this line, it retest, and then shoot back up. But this could be played many different ways. Say that you had sat them there, you got picked up, you got filled, it goes against you. You're probably about $150, $175 in the red at this point somewhere. You get this drive, and if you are a trader that likes to let your trades breathe for a while and not just take profit immediately, then you could have moved your stop. Once this went up here, you could have moved your stop above your entry, not by a lot. Say that you moved it from 485 to, well, yeah, you'd probably wanted to put it back at break even, because this candle right here got down to 486. It wicked down there anyway. But then you could have caught a little more, and depending on how you manage your risk, these got down to 485 as well, and then you could have caught this move, but you'd have had to sit through that. I'm more of a give me my profit and move on kind of trader than to move my stop here and watch this on the 1 minute chart forever. I think the faster you can get in and out of a trade, the easier it is to control your emotions. If you sit here and keep watching the chart and watching that money fluctuate and in the red, in the green, and back and forth, and this and that, it's harder on you than to just have a goal and say, well, if I get in right here at this line, my take profit is going to be break a structure, which would be right up here. That's why you would have been out right here. As soon as you got filled here, you should have been putting your sales up here around this area right here. And then what happened? You got it. You got filled. You're out of the trade for a couple $100 or better, and you move on to the next trade. That's how you should play that trend line, the retest, not the break. People that have been trading a lot longer and are used to playing breaks and everything else, they have their own style, their own risk management. There's nothing wrong with taking the break. It's not as safe as a play, and I'm here to try to teach you to trade safe, not trade wild. So and not saying this is trading wild, but it is trading wild if you don't know what you're doing. It is. Well, that's all I'm going to have for pre-market prep this morning. I got off track a little bit again, but I wanted to give a little bit of education in there. I will see you guys in the trade recap. If it's your first time here, smash that like and subscribe so you'll be notified anytime we drop something on YouTube. That way you can see these levels and come join the Discord and see these calls in the Discord live. And when we drop in trade recaps later in the day, if you could, go hit that like and subscribe on them. Leave me a comment. And I'll see y'all on the next one. Stay sharp, stay green, and I'll see you in Discord.